Hello, hello. Okay, the button is my button or
Should be over there, yep.
I don't want to hit the wrong one, you know. Okay,
And you can see on there where
okay.
how it
Actually,
comes up.
that they doesn't. Oh, how many buttons? All right. Okay, but I didn't test it.
Want to test it? Go.
Okay. Okay. All right. Call to order. I call this a regular meeting to order at 6:38 p.m. and Pledge of Allegiance, led by Council Member Rivera.
Come over here. If you can please rise. Put your right hand over your heart and follow me, please. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you.
Before roll call, I just welcome the after 2 years pandemic. We really exciting for me. Is also exciting is in person. I when I get elected, I think I don't have chance to come into the council chamber. So for me, I just express my exciting, my happy. Okay, welcome all the people coming to join our regular meeting. And clerk, roll call, please. Here.
Here.
Here. Here.
Here.
And closing session report. Our city attorney will now give the closing session report from the special meeting held on today at 5:30 p.m.
Certainly. The board met in closed session to discuss the item identified as labor negotiations for four groups: San Gabriel Police Officers Association, San Gabriel Police Officer Management Group, San Gabriel Firefighters Association. I said four groups. I meant five. San Gabriel Firefighter Group, and then also all unrepresented employees. Having received a report from labor negotiator Steve Filarski, There was no reportable action that took place. Mr. Mayor, that concludes the report.
Thank you. We will now have some announcement from our Chief City Clerk.
Tonight's meeting is live streamed on cable channel 3 and our online platforms. If you wish to address the City Council during tonight's meeting, we request that you please complete a speaker's card and hand it to the Assistant City Clerk. When speaking, please state your name for the record. If you wish to be added to the distribution list to receive City Council agendas, please email your request to cityclerk@sgch.org.
Number one, approve of the agenda order. Due to the scheduling conflict, staff has a request to remove the fire department introduction from the tonight agenda to be rescheduled for the future date. Is there a motion to approve the agenda order as a sole amendment?
I'll move.
I'll second.
Motion made by Councilmember Menchaca and the second by Councilmember Harrington. Assistant City Clerk, please take the vote.
Councilmember Menchaca,
Aye.
Councilmember Rivera,
Aye.
Councilmember Wu,
Aye.
Vice Mayor Harrington,
Aye.
Mayor Ding.
Aye. We need to use it, right?
Thank you, Mayor and Council. We can use those going forward. I think our script is based on being on the Zoom meeting still. So for future votes on this agenda, we'll just ask the Council to do a vote on the board.
Okay.
Motion passes by a vote of 5-0.
Next item, please.
Item 2A has been removed from the agenda, so we'll move to presentation B, which is San Gabriel Valley Regional Housing Trust. Brielle Acevedo, Regional Housing Trust Administrator, will make the presentation.
Thank you. Good evening, Mayor and City Council. Thank you so much for having me here tonight. So the San Gabriel Valley Regional Housing Trust was formed in February of 2020. So we recently celebrated our 2-year birthday and wanted to come to your council to share our accomplishments in the last 2 years. As a little bit of background, the trust was formed by Senate Bill 751, sponsored by Senator Susan Rubio, to fund the construction and planning of affordable and homeless housing. The trust is able to receive both public and private financing, and 22 cities have joined the trust so far, including the city of San Gabriel. We are governed by a 9-member board of directors. 7 are locally elected public officials, and 2 are housing and homelessness experts, which are defined as having 5 or more years of regional experience in housing and homelessness policy. Capital sources for the Housing Trust include a $20 million state budget earmark from the last fiscal year, which the board voted in September to allocate to 3 different projects. $8 million for our project pipeline, which is our list of affordable housing projects in need of gap financing. $8 million for the revolving loan fund, and $4 million for homeless housing pilot programs. I'll explain a little bit more about each of those in the coming slides. And also the Local Housing Trust Fund, which is a 1-for-1 state match for affordable housing development. The trust has been successful in receiving an award for that source for the last 2 years, supporting 71 units of development in 2020 and 175 units in 2021. The application for that source was just released today, so we're hoping to go for year 3. This is our project pipeline that has been funded to date. So we're really excited to share that we've been able to fund 10 projects for a total of 552 units in our first year, with an average of a little over $21,000 invested per unit. And what's even more exciting is every dollar invested by the San Gabriel Valley Housing Trust has leveraged $22 from either another public or private source. This is an example of the projects that we have funded, and we think it's really great to see how pretty affordable housing can be and how nicely it can meld into the community. The revolving loan fund I mentioned a few slides ago is a new initiative which we're really excited about, because this is a way for the trust to discover renewable sourcing or financing. So this source will be lent out to projects by June of 2023 to meet the state's funding deadline. But after that, once those projects receive their construction loans and repay those loans, this source of funding will be able to be lent out in perpetuity, so to continue to fund the pre-development and acquisition activities of future projects. The City of San Gabriel will be invited to participate in the upcoming stakeholder forums, which will determine the guidelines for this program, including terms like the interest rate and the length of the program. So that invitation will be coming your way, and the stakeholder meetings are on the 25th and the 27th of this month. Another thing that we are working on is our homeless housing pilot. You may have heard that the trust funded the first tiny home bridge housing site in the San Gabriel Valley, Esperanza Villa, in the city of Baldwin Park, which is 25 tiny homes for individuals experiencing homelessness in the city of Baldwin Park. We are very excited to share that the second tiny home site will be opening in the city of Montebello on May 18th, and that will have 30 units for individuals experiencing homelessness in Montebello. Both sites are operated by Volunteers of America and provide 3 meals daily for clients with a goal of, and case management with a goal of moving clients out within 90 days. So each site could serve upwards of 100 clients per year. The City of Baldwin Park is also working on a second homeless housing pilot program. So this one's a little bit different. It's an adaptive reuse of an existing building on a city-owned parcel. The trust provided $25,000 per unit or per bed, so they are aiming to provide 50 beds, so the award is for $1.25 million. There is a little bit of funding left in this category for additional cities that wish to do a homeless housing pilot, so we just ask that beds are made available for 2 or more years. Okay, and then the trust is also working on some planning activities in coordination with the COG, sorry. So this includes the surplus land inventory, which is identifying public and privately owned land that could be developed into affordable or homeless housing, and that will turn into a web page which will be accessible for city staff and developers to facilitate development opportunities. We are examining the possibility of creating a land trust to further the work in the region, since land is one of the highest barriers to housing due to the cost. And then also the Affordable Housing Incubator, which provides technical assistance in numerous categories to help cities get projects started. So in summary, the trust is really happy to be able to provide technical assistance at project inception and pilot programs, support projects then through pre-development with the revolving loan fund and potentially with the land trust, and then to support projects through completion with pipeline funding. And with that, I'll take questions if you have any.
Any question? Councilmember.
I was just going to ask if we can have that presentation emailed to us.
Of course.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Next item, please.
Public comment. This is the time set aside for members of the public to address the City Council on items of interest that are not on the agenda but are within the subject matter jurisdiction of the San Gabriel City Council. If you wish to address the council, please fill out a speaker's card and hand it to the Assistant City Clerk. We do have a couple comments that were submitted by email. We'll start with those and then we'll move on to the speakers who are here in person. The first comment comes to us from Fiona Reimers, San Gabriel Library Adult and Teen Services Librarian, and reads as follows. San Gabriel Library is hosting a free COVID vaccine clinic in the library meeting room April 14th, 10 a.m. to 3:30 p.m. Walk-ins are welcome and no appointment is necessary. Pfizer, Moderna, and pediatric vaccines will be available, and those needing a first or second booster are welcome. We are also happy to announce that the library is now open Tuesdays through Saturdays. Please visit our website for a listing of our new hours. The next comment is from Sandy Roscoe, Executive Director of the San Gabriel Chamber of Commerce. Good evening, Mayor Ding, Vice Mayor Harrington, and Council Members Menchaca, Rivera, and Wu. The San Gabriel Chamber of Commerce would like to publicly congratulate Council Member Karina Rivera and her family's business, El Pavo Bakery, for being recognized and honored by LA County Supervisor Hilda Solis. In a beautiful ceremony held on March 30, 2022, Supervisor Solis honored women entrepreneurs in her district during a Women's History Month celebration. During the ceremony, several women from across the 1st District were honored for their persistence, perseverance, and hard work. The San Gabriel Chamber is so proud that Councilmember Rivera was among these phenomenal honorees. Thank you, Councilmember Rivera, for demonstrating and modeling such an incredibly strong work ethic, as well as a sense of honor and integrity. How blessed we are to have you, your family, and El Pavo Bakery in San Gabriel. Our first speaker this evening is Chrissy B.
Good evening, everyone. This is my first time back since the pandemic. I had come before, pre-pandemic, so nice to see everyone. Some of you I haven't seen before. Last time I was here, I brought up a troubling fact that we get a lot of people who park in our private property parking lot who don't reside on our property. One of the things I requested was to not include my name as an issuer of a citation because I knew there would be problems. So now, this has been pre-pandemic, 3 years later, I did go ahead and issue citations through the San Gabriel Police Department, and it has escalated. It has not been good. My house has been vandalized several times, which I have submitted report to the police department, and this last time that it was vandalized, there were actual death threats on my house with a knife stuck on my door. So what I'm asking, initially I was gonna come here to talk about these grocery shopping carts, but really what happens is, I think a lot of residents and renters who are mainly renters of multifamily dwellings, they don't know the rules of the city. They don't know the laws. And for the longtime residents who have forgotten what they are or have not, or have overlooked what the new laws are, they think that once you start enforcing, which is what I have started doing for our property, they think that it's something that you're making up. They think that it's not part of the real city laws or rules. So what I'm asking today is if you could please have every department either enforce the laws, the rules, or if they're not gonna enforce, at least put warnings. Because it wasn't until about 5 years ago that I saw the first warning sign on the property, because some people left furniture. There seemed to be always dumping furniture on our property. And there was a warning sign, and that's the first time I'd ever seen anything like that, which I thought was good, because then everybody would see it. It's not just something that a resident is making up, or a board member such as myself. I'm on the board of directors for our association. It's not something we're making up. So if the city is not going to enforce laws, at least put warning signs up so people can become aware that this is a violation, that this is not something being made up by an individual or a board member. It has to come from the city, some sort of something that makes it official. So that's what I'm requesting. So that way that they don't threaten my life because they think I'm making this up on my own. So if anybody has any questions for me, I'm happy to answer that.
Thank you, ma'am. I appreciate you coming up. Unfortunately, in the format we're in, we can't ask questions because of Brown Act issues. But I would love it if you'd go back and talk to our police chief in the back of the room and also our community development director.
Yes.
Both of them have departments that enforce those codes that you're talking about, and they will take your information, and I'm sure they can help you.
That would be great. Thank you very much. Have a good evening.
You too.
Our
See
next
you at the
speaker-
next meeting.
Our next speaker is Eric Chan.
FYI, I think this isn't working real well, because I think the back can't hear. I mean, I can always talk louder, so. Good evening, council members, staff, and guests. I'm Eric Chan, and I live at Palm and Chestnut. Tonight, I wanted to talk to you about crime in our city. Just last month, Thursday morning, March 3rd, 2022, at 4:30 a.m., I was the victim of crime again. Criminals moved my electric rolling gate off its track, came onto my property, and tried to steal my catalytic converter, again, for the third time in less than a year. Luckily, this time, my security system prevented it, and the criminals just drove away. But I'm just going to ask you, please don't let the defund the police crowd lie to you and try to tell you that we're just imagining it. Crime is getting worse, even in our safe, quiet city of San Gabriel. So I respectfully ask the council to do everything you can to allocate more resources to support our police department and public safety in all their efforts, because being able to live in a peaceful, secure, safe city like ours and our neighborhoods is a civil right. Thank you.
Our next speaker is Debbie Kilgore.
Hello, everybody. Can you hear me in the back? Because we just sent messages that we can't hear you guys very well, except for Keith and Denise, we were able to hear, but your communication is very poor. I want to say that Eric talked about a lot of things that are really important. I'm here right now because of dead trees in my neighborhood. I don't understand, and they're not on parkways. The problem is there's a school right up the street over here at Carrillo and Mission Drive that's got a dead tree on it. They cut it, but they just left the other part of the dead tree sitting right next to trash cans. My next door neighbor has a dead tree in their yard that's the branches are falling off, and I sent messages and I sent pictures from 2 years ago. So I want people to know that you can send messages to people. The Public Works Department does anything on the sidewalk and the parkways, but I don't know exactly who to go to with trees. Code enforcement, and they're really short. I think they only have 1.5 persons besides Joe Chin, and he does so many more. But we just need to keep our city clean. A brand new condominium unit, today was their trash day, and yet when I left to come to this meeting, there's still 2 big couches sitting right in front of the place. So people keep dumping, and we need to have ways to do it. And don't be afraid to send stuff. I'd like for you guys to really have simple, easy things that people that you can send to, because Public Works has a place that you send to, but they only take care of certain things, and nobody else really knows where to send it. I'd like to see a place where we can we can send pictures and take pictures of everything. A picture's worth 1,000 words. But we need to keep our city clean and safe, and we're not doing it very well, because I also have pictures from the northern part of San Gabriel where stuff sat on the street for a week and 5 days, 7 days, 8 days, 9 days. And you go by and put the little tag on it, but they still leave it there. So we need to work with the public and keep the public educated and make sure they understand all the things that we can do as a team, because people don't get together. They don't know how to complain or make a statement. Just like the lady before us said that because she made complaints, they're scaring her to death, and that's not right. So anyway, thank you.
Our next speaker is Jennifer Tang.
Good evening, Mayor Ding, Vice Mayor Harrington, council members, staff, and residents of San Gabriel. My name is Jennifer Tang, and I'm here tonight on behalf of Assemblymember Mike Fong. Assemblymember Fong was sworn in to represent the 49th Assembly District in the California Legislature on February 22nd, 2022, which encompasses the city of San Gabriel, as well as Alhambra, Arcadia, El Monte, Monterey Park, Rosemead, Temple City, San Marino, and parts of Montebello and South El Monte. Our district office is up and running, and we are ready to serve the residents of San Gabriel. To all residents who are watching, if you would like to express your stance on an upcoming bill or need any help with any state-related matters, please call our office at 323-264-4949 or email us at assemblymember.mikefong@assembly.ca.gov or visit our website, a49asmdc.org. To City Council members and staff, our office looks forward to working in partnership with you to serve the residents of San Gabriel. Please reach out to me or anyone from our office for any matters with which we could support you. We also welcome invitations to upcoming city events, especially now that it is safer to gather in person. I'd also like to offer our office's condolences to the community of San Gabriel for the loss of Sally Baldwin. She was such a force in your city and throughout our community, and we just want to offer her family and the community our condolences. Thank you for giving me the time to speak this evening. Thank you very much.
I have no additional speaker cards. Is there anyone that wishes to address the City Council?
And next item, please.
Consent calendar. All items listed under the consent calendar are considered routine, and recommendations will be approved in one motion unless a member of the City Council or public requests separate discussion. We have not received requests from the public to pull any items.
Would any council member like to pull an item for the separate discussion?
Then I'll just go ahead and move approval of the consent agenda.
Yeah, do I have the motion for item?
I'll second.
Okay, motion made by Councilmember Menchaca and the second by Councilmember Rivera. Assistant Sister Kerr, please take the vote.
And Mayor, we can use the board.
We can
now.
use, okay.
Motion passes by a vote of 5-0.
So don't need to rotate the quarter, right? Just for the, okay. Okay, sorry, it's first time running. Okay. So, okay, all right, okay. Okay, next item, please.
We have no public hearings or continued business this evening. Our next item is new business item A, mayor's appointments to intergovernmental agencies and council liaisons. Assistant City Clerk Marilyn Bonus will make the presentation, followed by comments from City Manager Lazaretto.
Good evening, Council. Each year, a committee's list listing the delegates, alternates, or liaisons is brought before you for your consideration. There are 3 different types of committees listed: committees where cities have voting powers, committees where the city is just a member, and the third one is a list of internal project committees that are related to specific projects or events in the city. There are also some committees that have specific terms for the city's representatives, which requires the delegate listed to serve until the term ends, such as the Metropolitan Transportation Authority, also known as Metro, and the San Gabriel Valley Mosquito and Vector Abatement District. This year, we are also proposing the removal of certain committees that have no request for representation or committees that have completed their purpose. Those committees have been highlighted in red for your consideration. Staff is also requesting the addition of the following committees: the Lunar New Year Committee, Dumpling and Beer Committee, and San Gabriel Boulevard Las Tunas Project Committee. Staff recommends the adoption of Resolution Number 22-19, confirming the mayor's appointments to serve as delegates, alternates, and liaisons to outside agencies and committees. Approve the removal of suggested committees that have completed their purpose or have no request for representation, and the addition of Lunar New Year Committee, Dumpling and Beer Committee, and the San Gabriel Boulevard Las Tunas Project Committee. I will turn it over to Mark in case there's anything he would like to add for your consideration.
Thank you, Marilyn. I appreciate it. I just wanted to make 2 quick comments for the City Council. One, the reason we're asking to add the Lunar New Year and the Dumpling and Beer committees is because this used to be sort of an informal situation where Councilman Pooh was one of our, former Councilman Pooh was one of our instrumental folks in getting Lunar New Year started and also energizing it to be more reflective of what today's Lunar New Year event looks like. And staff worked very closely with him, but it was an informal relationship, so I'd appreciate having the city council formally enact this committee and have somebody appointed to it so that we have the backing of the city council as a representative for that. And the same for Dumpling and Beer. That's our other signature event, and it requires a lot of planning. In fact, we're starting on that very soon, and it would be great to have the input from council, but again, I would like to have that more formalized, so that's why that's being added. And then the second comment I would like to make is related to the committees where there are liaisons to projects. Just a reminder to the council that for those projects that haven't been approved yet, just don't offer any support or opposition to a project. You're there as not an advocate, you're there as a liaison, and you can set meetings with council and developers to facilitate and make sure that we are doing things as quickly as we can and as efficiently as we can. But because these are land use issues that may come before the full council, it would be best not to state your support or opposition to projects until you've heard the whole public hearing. It's worked out very well in the past. I only reiterate that because we haven't had a meeting like this in a long time, but we've had a very good success with those liaisons, but just wanted to remind the council of those facts. And with that, Mr. Mayor, I would turn it over to you.
Does any council member have the factual question for the staff and clarify the report? I think no. Okay. Chief City Clerk, do we have any public comments?
We have not received any speaker cards. Is there anyone wishing to address the council on this matter? No public comment.
Okay, thank you. It's now time for the council deliberation and the discussion. Who would like to start it? Okay. So, if no comment, yeah. Is it anyone make a motion?
Well, actually, before that, I do see there's some the red column that shows that those committees are no longer active, so we will be removed those non-active committee and commission.
That's right. If you follow the staff recommendation, which if that's the motion that is made, it would be making all of the appointments that the mayor has recommended, as well as removing those 4 or 5 committees that either aren't needed anymore or don't have any representatives on them. So that would be all part of that motion. If you'd like to make a different motion, you may, but
No.
that's what the staff recommendation would enact.
I would like to motion to approve.
Okay.
I'll second.
Okay. Motion has made by Councilmember Wu and second by Councilmember Menchaca. And Assistant City Clerk, please take the vote.
I think we're going to the board.
Okay, all right. Okay.
Motion passes by a vote of 5-0.
Next item, please.
We currently have no speaker cards. Is there anyone wishing to address the council at this time? If so, please give your speaker's request card to the Assistant City Clerk. No comments,
No.
Mayor.
Okay, thank you. Okay, number 9, City Manager report.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Just wanted to say how great it is to be back in public after all this time. We will get these bugs worked out. The mothballs, I think, are in some of the equipment, and so we'll make sure all that works before we come back in 2 weeks. And I know, secondly, I know that the council's going to report on the conference this weekend, but unfortunately, since I come first, I just want to mention how great it was to spend the weekend with the 5 of you, and I would not trade places with any of my counterparts. We do have the best council, and you folks were there for the long haul, and we're there to learn from the beginning to the end, and it shows the way that you all get along, and also your desire to learn more and to better yourselves for the community. And I appreciate working with a team like that. So thank you all very much.
Thank you, Mark. Council comments and the conference meeting report. Who will be started?
I guess I'll start.
Okay.
I wanted to also mention about the ICA conference. We all attended, and we can all vouch that we were there the whole time. I noticed how some other city council members kind of started drifting away, but we were there, and it was very insightful. It was beneficial, and a lot of thought-provoking sessions. I really appreciated the level of expertise of the presenters, and they just had so much knowledge. And in some cases, I wish we could have them here at some point to do the presentation. I'm just going to highlight a couple things. First, the keynote speaker, his name is Michael Schellenberger, who's an author. And when I had done some research on him, he's known as an environmental guru, a climate guru, the high priest of the environment. He's also a candidate for the California governor race here in 2022, which he never mentioned. But what he focused on was not the environment, but was about housing homelessness. And generally his message was that California is making homelessness worse because it's not addressing the main causes, which is addiction and mental health. And according to his research, California is the only state that has not experienced a decline in homelessness, but an increase. So there was just so much information, and my colleagues could probably add more, but it was very, very interesting. Some of the other takeaways from the sessions that I wanted to share was that there was one session where they talked about different programs, and they mentioned how we should continue with online city programs because the 20 and the 30-year-olds, that's how they communicate, and we need to find more innovative ways to communicate with our 20 and 30-year-old residents, but also to be conscientious about those who have surgeries or are homebound for whatever reason, that now they should be able to have access, whether it's a city council meeting or a variety of programs that we offer. Second, they mentioned about nurse practitioners, which was kind of interesting how some fire departments are using nurse practitioners to complement the services that are outside of the scope of the paramedics. So that was also a very interesting discussion. I mean, it was a variety of things, but the nurse practitioners stood out for me. And then lastly, enlisting 20 residents, and those 20 residents would visit a different department every month, and that would include council members. And so again, I know we've kind of done different types of sessions through our police department, but this was interesting how you would rotate with all the departments in the city, and you would get a core group of residents who would be able to commit month to month. So so those are some of my I guess thoughts, and again, it was really nice being able to kind of a retreat, I guess, for us, because this is, we have a new cast of characters here, and we're all trying to get to know each other and learn to work together, and it was a really good way of kind of launching the post-COVID meetings now. So thank you.
Thank you, Councilmember Michanga. Councilmember Rivera.
This was my first conference as a council member, and I got to meet a lot of I got to meet a lot of other council members from other cities, so it was a good experience to know what other cities are doing for their cities. And also I learned a lot about the crime, homelessness, how other cities are dealing with those type of things, and mental illnesses, and what to do in case of an emergency, what our roles are, what we're supposed to do. That was also very important, because we never think about what happens in an emergency. Also learned a lot about how to protect our community from the crime surges that are happening right now, and it's just all over, basically all over LA County. They have a big problem with the catalytic converter theft rings, and we learned about that and how they operate. So that was also how we can bring community partnerships through social media, and just residents and affordable housing. So it was a real experience for me, not only to learn alongside my team. I know that this is the first time that the whole team was together for city council in 11 years or something. So that was very special to to have the whole team together and get to know each other better and learn together, especially for John and I, since we're new to this whole city council thing. Yeah, the other John, not this John. This John taught us a thing or two, but yeah, it was very informative. So.
Thank you, Councilmember Rivera. Who's next? John, John.
I'll go.
John too?
Yeah, I would just report back. The conference was rich in value, just because, like the name says, it's independent cities. So those are, for the audience members that don't know, those are cities that have their own police department, their own fire department. So we have a little bit of a different role than some cities that may contract out their services. So these topics are put on, and they're directly applied to San Gabriel and what we do. And you can tell we've already had 2 descriptions of what's gone on, and I'll give a few more what went on. It was there's a lot of takeaways, and I think the takeaway on homelessness was that whatever we're doing right now is not working. And the big differentiation that I pulled away was housing versus shelter. So we focus a lot on affordable housing, and there's a big push for affordable housing. But immediately what homeless people need is shelter. They need, and it's not, shelter isn't necessarily one person in a structure. It's sometimes it's, they put multiple people in rooms, and one of the biggest issues was the voluntariness. So sometimes we have people with mental issues, drug addiction, that they just refuse it. And in California, you can refuse shelter, but there's also the other side of that we can't forcibly take someone that's obviously having issues, other than if they're committing an actual crime on someone else, off the street. So the speaker was talking about how do we fix that, because he kept saying this is not a civilized country that treats people like this. The way we isolate mental illness, the way we isolate drug use, and the way we treat people is not civilized. It's not civil, and it's not humane. And that was, he did never say he was running for governor. So I like the way he kept it just, these are the facts. And he said a big push on that, and he went into some things you've heard me talk about, which is the housing lobby and the big money behind all of this that is basically buying up all the single-family homes, all the multifamily homes, and they're equitizing it. They're putting it into private equity, and they're making a living off of the people suffering, basically. And so I thought that was a great way to put it, because a lot of people don't think like that. I thought a great seminar was also the City Council's role for emergency operations, which we haven't been able to get to in a long time because of COVID. And Mark has assured us that the city will be running through those exercises, because we never know as council when we're going to be called. It could be 2 a.m. It could be, you never know what time when an emergency is going to happen. We need to be not sitting there, what is our role? What is our role? We need to understand it. And everybody has a differentiated task, and just going through those exercises makes a big deal or difference, because I think the last time we met was 2011 as far as emergency. I got the call at like 6:30 in the morning. We declared it was from the windstorms of 2011, and we were up and running by about 7:30. And I was in Glendale at the time at 6:30 when the city manager called and said, "You have to get back in town. We're declaring emergency." After that, we did a lot of exercises, and the Emergency Operations Center, it really is something that it's like it is an exercise that you need to go through a few times before you understand it. So I think it's very valuable to go through that. And then I'll save a few, so that I don't want to go through everything. So John has something to talk about. I have a couple of notes, but I won't talk about that here. On an unrelated item, some people may not have got the news, but there's an outfit called SafeWise, and they rate the top safest cities in California, the top 50. So San Gabriel actually made the list this year for the first time in a long time. We're up to city 39 out of the entire state. We're the 39th safest city. So I want to congratulate Chief Harris and the men and women at the police department and fire department for keeping us safe. So thank you. So yes, we do have crime, but it's still relative. It's always relative. And so we want to move up to number 1, and that's not going to be an easy thing to do because a lot of the top 10 are in very isolated areas with not big cities around them. So that makes, we have a much bigger challenge, our proximity to Los Angeles. So we're an easy target because we're right off the freeway. So not necessarily a lot of our crime happens or it's caused by our residents. So I think our PD and our fire, we're doing a pretty good job. And we moved up 32 spots on the list, by the way, 21 to 22. So that's a pretty big, this is the biggest jump of any city. So thank you.
Thank you, Councilmember Harrington. So Councilmember Wu.
Well, this is a very unique experience for me. Not only the first time that being a council member and attend the ICA conference, but also that I actually realized that we, as a San Gabriel City, that all 5 council members plus our city manager attend the conference. That not many cities that I see that they have all the city council members attend this meeting. So we work as a group, and we actually, I'm so grateful that to work with my colleague. They're so they're really smart. They are experienced and very integrity. So they have covered most of the parts that we had in the conference, but I would like to conclude something that I have observed from the conference, that we do have the elected officials, we have the police, fire chief from several cities like Beverly Hills, Culver City, Huntington Beach, Gardena, and those places. But one thing I think that grabbed my eyeball, which is the technology and community partnerships, because well, actually they do mention about the integrations of their city cameras. They do install the city cameras, they have the traffic monitor, and they have those devices to monitor the movement of the crimes and the criminals and theft. So I remember that our Chief Harris, he did mention about the FUSI system, which is that encourage the business property owners, when they have those cameras, then we should really work together, and they can let us to let the police, public safety to access those data, and they will be able to, grab more data, more intelligence information from those, cameras. So I think that is something, the investment that we should consider. But meanwhile, I would like to share with everyone here that I had a ride along a couple of days ago, and I do notice that this is why we are trying, our police officer, they work really hard to make our city safe. But I think that we do need give them more useful device that will make the things more efficiently, such as like the license plate reader, because when I asked them, they had the license plate reader before, only one police car, but now there's none of them have one. And also we will probably need a monitor, the street monitor, that will be able to help us to trace that the criminal vehicles, that when they enter our city, then we are able to track them, or we can notify our neighbor city that is something is happening and moving to Tempo or moving to Monterey Park. So I think that is another thing. I think at the public safety, homeless, business, there are 3 pretty major issues that we talked about in the conference. But that is a very informative conference. I had a really good time and learned a lot. But I think we can focus on something really different. That every council member, we are focusing on the different territory. So hopefully that we can just learn more, do more, and serve more. Thank you.
Thank you, Councilmember Wu. Okay, it's my turn. Okay, I second all of you the comments. All right, yeah, it's for me. It's also I got thanks to all the council member appoint me to become mayor. And first, the conference, we go to ICA, a full council, and plus our city manager here. I talked to ICA, their host. They say, hey, you should be given to our city of San Gabriel the reward. We have the full council and the city manager there, so that's meaning we really like attended this kind of event. It's for me also learning a lot to from the conference. So we just summarize, they suggest have if independent city should be have EMS, emergency the management service system, and like a PD, fire department keep our city safety. That's important too. How do you use I highly recommend it. It's use the high tech, right? How to trace the criminal, right? So in the public area, and then fire department also it's use the high tech to help to more emergency the response. And homeless the topic, I think for the future our city will be faced this issue too. And affordable housing, but affordable housing, I just want to point out, they still don't have any the definition. What's the what's meaning that you define the affordable housing? They passed the bill and allow the city council, the city council, they really think about it because they took away our local control. So for our community, small communities, they definitely want some local control by ourselves. Even some council members, they make the comments to say, if the state always take everything from our city, what should we need a council member? Okay, so I just hope that the public can know. So because it's incorporated, it's a city of San Gabriel. We love our city. We should get back the right from our local control. So that's for me. It's very impressed to discussing. So our city is also supported to recently we try appeal the SB. I remember SB 9, SB 10. Okay, and another one. It's really I like it. It's a community engagement, have some tool it's a council member it's already mentioned. So I think the city, it's better let the community have a chance to actually I have experience to visit the police department, fire department. I really it's a help especially for the resident. Council member, definitely I think if you have experience to help to make a decision, and the resident also I encourage them to join this kind of tool so they can know what's going on and how they can report it, how they do the some co-enforcement, something like that, right? So because maybe some residents they don't know, right? So we need more this kind of education, use our community engagement. So that's thanks all the council member. We get there, have 3 days. We communicate each other, and sometimes we 5 council member, maybe 5 different idea. But we can work together. I think everybody, the purpose is to let our city more better, more safety, more the people want to live there. Okay, thank you all. And closing section. No. Okay. Before the adjourn the meeting, I will adjourn the tonight meeting in the honor of the Sally Borwin, who sadly passed away last evening. Sally was very committed to the San Gabriel community, have served 28 years in her professional career as a teacher in the San Gabriel Unified School District. Sally also devoted her time as a volunteer with the various community groups, including Asian Youth Center, San Gabriel Valley Music Theater, and the San Gabriel Valley Medical Center's Board of Directors. Throughout her years, Sally showed tremendous dedication, compassion, and the leadership in the serve the San Gabriel the community, and was honored by her effort as the San Gabriel 2021 Outstanding Older American. Tonight, we honor Sally, who will be greatly missed.
Thank you, Mayor. I got permission from her daughter to say a few words on a personal level. So, excuse me. The passing of Sally Baldwin is very heartbreaking to put into words. She was a very close friend of mine. Sally self-appointed herself as my tia, and so I embraced it. She loved her family, her church, her former students, and especially San Gabriel so very deeply. When she was honored as our 2021 Outstanding Older American for our city, she was beyond thrilled. Because of COVID, in lieu of being the Grand Marshal for our 4th of July parade, our police and fire did a drive-by to present Sally with her plaque. She so loved our first responders and shared that this was one of the most memorable moments in her life. Police Sergeant Dan Gosrin reminded me that Sally was his 6th grade teacher. As a teacher, friend, parishioner, and neighbor, she touched so many of us with her wit, humor, intelligence, honesty, and sassiness. Her services will be next month on her birthday. Her daughter has assured me and everyone that it will be a celebration of a wonderful life, and it will include an In-N-Out truck, her favorite. Rest in peace, my dear Tia Sally. Thank you.
Thank you, Councilmember Manchenka. Yeah, we such, it's emotion. We lost this great woman. Okay, I know her not too long. Okay, after I got elected, but I saw her, the heart to really love our city, to help our city to become like it's a love city. That's reasonably we want it, right? So that's why community will get together. Like I really thanks for our council member right now. Even the last the weekend, so it's a really good time for our fellowship together, and hopefully we have the our city, because of San Gabriel, we have a good news and love news for our city. Thank you. Thank you. The next regular city council meeting will be held on Tuesday, April 19, 2022 at 6:30 p.m. Meeting adjourned. So should I